everyone. Welcome once again to the Adventures Travel Club television show. We find ourselves in Lourdes, and we're just about ready to leave Lourdes. We're going to travel on through other parts of France. I think that we're going to enjoy very, very much. In fact, look at that countryside, Betty. Isn't it beautiful?
It's just beautiful. And you know that you could see some of the fall colors. It was just lovely. Just lovely.
It is beautiful. And the first place that we're going to go to, look at you mentioned the fall colors. Yeah, they are really magnificent. Just I can't pronounce the name of this town we're going to go.
Why not?
I don't know.
You're supposed to look it up and find out how to pronounce.
Casserole, but that's
no, it's not. I do know that. Okay. Carcassonne.
Carcassonne. All right.
Yeah. And you know how I knew? I called my son and he'd been there. And I said, "Oh, Joe, it was the greatest place." And it was like you just said,
Casserole.
And he says, "Oh, you mean Carcassonne?" So that's how I get. So he'd been there. So he knew.
Well, that's good. Anyway, we're going to be in there too after this trip. It is beautiful. As we drove up, you could see that this looked like a castle was sitting on top of this hill, and we drove in. It's more than just a castle; it's a walled
city. It's a whole walled city.
Beautiful.
And I remember when this was on our itinerary, I thought, "Oh God, I hope it's a good place that we're going to go see," because really don't know for you.
Well,
you take somebody else.
And
you take somebody else's word for it.
True.
But thrilling! I want to go back again and again.
I think you're right. I'd like to go back there too again, because it was kind of a cold day when we were there, but we warmed ourselves up because Betty and I went to have a really wonderful meal in one of the little restaurants that's here in the walled city. But as we're going here, you can see these beautiful archways here. There was also a moat. I don't know if I got a shot at it. It was a dry moat that was around the whole fortification right there. But we're going to walk inside, and of course, naturally, this place gets lots and lots of tourists, so there are a lot of tourists.
You have to think about this too, though. This was November, but I told my people when they packed to be sure and bring some warm clothes. Of course, sometimes I tell them that, and then it's hot as can be. But nevertheless,
well, at least you can
always,
because
you can leave it on the bus. Right. You see.
Yeah, and this was really nice. We had time here, which I really enjoyed, that we could walk around the city and take our own time, explore the shops, explore all of the area around, and also the old church that we're going to go into a little bit later on too. Now, Betty, that church had quite a history, right?
Yeah, it was was not very well kept up, unfortunately. The statues were from there was one of the Blessed Trinity. I'm sorry that you didn't catch it on camera, because we had to stand there and figure out what it was. And it was the persons in God. There was God, and then up on top of his head was a little bird, that was the
Holy
Trinity.
Spirit?
Yeah,
and
it was. And then the baby, it was just charming. It was pretty decrepit. I mean, it had been broken up in places, but it was nice.
Now, this was a little restaurant. We were upstairs, and it had kind of tiny little stairs to go up, and you can see there were heaters there on the floor to keep us all warm. So it was a wonderful place, and we had a wonderful meal. What I like about so many of the places, of course, in Europe, that's what I had.
What do you call? That's a carso.
There's
a name for it,
but
but put it in a bowl like that though, and brought to you in the bowl it was cooked
baked in there, and then look what you had.
Yeah, I had French onion soup. From France. Now you can get
Wouldn't that go good right now, huh?
Oh man!
Oh boy!
As you can see,
look at the bread. Oh, Betty, you're in heaven.
I enjoyed every bit of it.
Look at all that wonderful cheese. Oh my!
Now, do you see how I'm dressed? I was smart too, man. I was ready for it. Yes.
Well, and that was the outside of the restaurant. This is, again, another shot of typically. Oh, there's the moat. I did get a shot of that. You see, but there's no water right there, so kind of dry. And that was the hotel that was located right next to the church. The hotel was beautiful, all those gorgeous colors. And look at one of the buildings, Betty. I like these gargoyles. They were really fun. I
really don't know too much of the significance of them. I've been told, but I forget. Do you remember why they were put there?
Those that I've seen in Paris and some of the other places, they're water spouts.
They were water spouts.
Now I don't know if these were or not.
Well, these must be. No, but they don't all have mouths.
That one's got a set of teeth on him, though.
Yeah. But anyway, they look like they'd scare away the devil himself.
Yeah. Well, maybe that was what they're designed for. I'm not quite sure, but I know they're highly decorative in a lot of places that you say, "Oh, that guy's got a big mouth."
Oh
right
yeah,
there.
Look at that.
Yeah. So this is St. Dominic's Church, and built in 1213. And Betty, you said that St. Dominic actually celebrated Mass here?
The sacristan told us that the St. Dominic actually celebrated Mass. So that was awesome for us to know that the St. Dominic had celebrated Mass in the place that we were going to have Mass.
The stained glass windows here, I think, were really magnificent. There's the high altar there, the main altar. We did have a Mass here ourselves in one of the side altars. And it was really quite moving to see. Now you can see there's a little bit of scaffolding up there too. So there's always reconstruction work, no matter where we go. You're going to see that, and thank goodness that is happening. That things are being put back in the way that they should be, so that they will last for a few more centuries, so that other people can see them as well.
This was a more pure church, not ornate with the gold and all of the other things. It was. It
was beautiful in its
austere.
simplicity.
Yes.
Right. So we're getting ready here and sitting reading a little bit, and so fathers are going to celebrate Mass here, and this was a very, very special day. Of course, this whole trip, we want to mention, was a pilgrimage as we were going through Portugal and Spain and France, and also winding up in Italy down at the Vatican. So this was a very special time for us all to have a Mass in this particular church of St. Dominic. There's one of the statues.
Yeah, now
that's beautiful,
now she's
isn't it?
lovely, yeah, and it's all colored instead of just plain. And the Pietà, how do you? Several different pronunciations. Is it Pietà, the Pietà, the whatever?
I guess it depends on what country you're in, how you pronounce it. I'm not sure.
Of course, it's Michelangelo, so that would identify it immediately.
Anyway, on the outside of the walls here, we see that there's a merry-go-round and a few people braving the cold to come there. Anyway, it's the next morning now, and we're just getting ready to leave our hotel because we are now in the city of Avignon. And this was special. I'd never been here before. I knew very, very little about it, except that there were several popes that took up residence in Avignon and that had left Rome. And I didn't know the reason why that was, but we're going to learn a little bit about that on today's program.
Marv, I want to congratulate you. We got from Avignon from Carcassonne to Avignon without one bus ride to there.
Twinkling of an eye.
We just went like like on wings of a song,
it's called
and we
the
were
magic
there.
Of television.
Isn't that marvelous?
Yes, it is. However, the bus ride was delightful between the two places.
But I just had to throw that in.
Yes, of course. Okay. Well, we're going to load up on the bus because we're going to take the bus around part of the walled city. There's my car. Now that is a smart car. Got a very quick shot of it.
That's its name, actually.
That is the name of it. Made by Mercedes-Benz, and you can get that in either diesel form or in gasoline. And boy, would you have a good gas mileage on that. Anyway, we're going to travel along here, and as we are doing this, we're going to listen in just a moment to our guide as she's going to explain a little bit about this area and about the city of Avignon. Did I pronounce that right?
Sure. Sounds good to me, kid.
Okay, if you say so. So let's give a listen to her right now.
So those two lands did belong to the Pope until the French Revolution. So even if the Pope moved out of Avignon and the little land outside Avignon belonged to the Pope. After the French Revolution confiscated the land and put it back to France. The French are going to transform the palace into a military base. The military are going to take residence inside the Palais du Pape. Therefore, the Palais du Pape do not have any furniture as such, and it will be actually partly damaged because they will use some of the rooms not very nicely. They are going to build different floors within a room in order to have more bedrooms. And some of the other rooms will be completely damaged. Using some of the chapel as they will wash their hands in some of those chapels. So the low part of some of those chapels are completely destroyed. And also they are going to rob rob the plasterwork. Why? A good plaster piece could be a nice fixture in your house. So some of those nice places are just disappear. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the River Rhône here on your right-hand side. The River Rhône, and on the middle you have an island. It's an island. But the River Rhône is known in Avignon for a reason. Le Pont d'Avignon, the bridge over Avignon, the bridge that everybody knows around the world because of the song. I'm sure that some of you know it. Sur le pont d'Avignon, on y danse, on y danse. Sur le pont d'Avignon, on y danse tous en rond. You do not know it?
No. Sing. What's the tune?
It is raining, so I'm going to sing. On y danse sur le pont d'Avignon, on y danse tous en rond. Les beaux messieurs font comme ça, et puis encore comme ça. Sur le pont d'Avignon, on y danse sur le pont d'Avignon. Et il est là, and it's there, on your right hand side. The bridge. It is a children's song, by the way, and the person who will... a person who is learning French will learn this song almost immediately.
Well, Betty, how did it happen that the popes came to Avignon in the first place?
What a wonderful start of a question. And we kind of went over this a little bit, and I actually did some research on this, and very, very interesting. Marv always gets heck from me for buying so many books because I think they're so expensive. But then when we come home, I just thank him because I'm so grateful that we do have the frame of references that they give to us. And the whole idea of the popes even going into Avignon because it was political. They were having a bad time. They needed safe refuge from the King of France. So Clement was the pope at the time, and so they moved to Avignon, and they built a lot of little houses, and it was a really disorderly sprawl because when they came along, of course, they brought their retinue with them. They had to have housing. So what happened, they dislodged the people that were there, and they built slum houses. And altogether, it was a horribly wild, badly constructed, and the most odoriferous spot on earth. Now, you can imagine what it must have smelled like if they actually put it down, that it was the most odoriferous.
That's true. You know, one writer did say that. He said it just smelled bad. And yet another writer said it was one of the most beautiful places that he had ever seen. So maybe beautiful, but stinky.
Well, they didn't have the facilities at the time, but the territory was ideally situated. It was right in the heart of the Christian culture between France and Italy. And
Spain.
Yeah, and Spain, sure. So when they bought out the occupants of the houses, they moved on farther down, and the place became a thriving community. It really, a lot of people were there. Well, they only had 6,000 people at one time, but it grew to 30,000. But then they had like 7 plagues, and half of the population were destroyed by the plagues. Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned Clement VI, who was the first pope there. He'd also had been the bishop of Avignon before, and there were, I think, 11 popes, if I'm not mistaken, that were there. It started, like you said, with Clement V, John the 22nd, Benedict the 12th, Clement the 6th, Innocent the 6th, Urban the 5th, Gregory the 11th, Clement the 7th, and Benedict the 13th. A lot of Clements, huh?
A lot of Clements. They needed clemency, too, most of them, I'll tell you that. But the arrival of the popes in Avignon, it really made the whole place grow. And then, you know what happens? They make a little bit of money, and the merchants, and so what happens? I have to have a bigger building than you. I have to have a nicer home than you. And so instead of just ordinary little places, they built ornate, see who could decorate the most and have the most luxurious buildings of it all. And the popes were no better. I mean, with what they built.
Well, you know, I think that was probably a signs of the times during that particular time. But you know, I mean, if the popes had moved out of Rome, of course, we should mention too there was also civil war going on
at the
time, too.
But Marv, they attracted so many scholars and scientists that actually the Avignon became the capital of what do I want to say? The cultural capital of all of the European continent there. So there was good that came from it. Then one of the library at one time had 2,650 illuminated manuscripts. You remember the illuminated ones we saw at the Trinity College in England? 2,000
up in Dublin,
at
Ireland.
Dublin.
Yeah.
That's right at Trinity, huh?
Yeah.
But they were magnificent. Imagine having 2,650 of them.
That's something.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. Well, like you say, it was really the seat of it was the seat of the church government and also of a lot of culture. And of course, a lot of the popes and some of the cardinals naturally commissioned a lot of the artists to go in and do, the decorations and also other paintings. And as she was saying, during the French Revolution, a lot of this stuff did not survive. I mean, as we're going through, you can see some of it right there, a little bit of the paintings that we saw. We're going to listen now. These are self-guided tours, and I want you to listen to what I was hearing as I walked along.
Avignon was poised to become for a century the capital of Christendom, a major diplomatic, economic and financial center, and an artistic melting pot that would give birth to the famous School of Avignon painters. In all, 9 popes would reside in Avignon, mainly for political reasons. The Palais des Papes, or Pope's Palace, is the greatest testament to their presence in the city. It took less than 20 years to build, and was the work of 2 popes, Benedict XII, who had the old palace built, and Clement VI, who was responsible for a new palace.
Marv, I think it's a wonderful idea to have those phones that you can on your own listen to and see what it is you're watching. So if you're more interested in one thing, you can stay a little bit behind. You don't have to keep up with the guide. But when I first saw them, like just now, I thought, look at all those cell phones. Honestly, that's a fact I had forgotten.
No, that's true. They have those available in 7 different languages. And the nice thing about that is that you can do this tour on your own. And I thought that was very interesting. I should mention that the Papal Palace is really the property of the city of Avignon. And it's open every day from the 2nd of November to the 31st of March. So if you want to go, you better go between 9:30 to 5:45 in the afternoon. But then from the 1st of April to the 1st of November, it's open from 9 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And like Betty says, they have the little audio guides that you can listen to and take your own time. Camera work wasn't very good here because I was really kind of sneaking the shots. You're not supposed to take a lot of photographs and stuff in here, and so.
What do you mean, kind of sneaking them?
Well,
you were sneaking them.
Oh yeah. Well, I figured we're coming halfway around the world coming home, so it shouldn't make too much difference. Besides, I bought one of their books anyway, so it should make up for that. The buildings themselves, I thought, were so interesting because, and there were so many popes, of course, that were doing the building there, and so you had different styles of buildings, and there were a lot of little bridges and things. A lot of the stuff was destroyed, as she said, as our guide said, during the French Revolution, when they were using this as pretty much of a military base, and that was too bad that did happen, because I'm sure that the paintings and other things that would have been left
would be fabulous.
it'd have been absolutely incredible. But of course, the French Revolution was not too much in favor of the clergy or even the nobility, and as they did away with most of the people, did away with most of the monasteries, the convents, and executed an awful lot of the people that belonged in the monasteries and in the convents as well.
But Marv, take a look at the walls here, the darkness of them. It certainly didn't look like this. Now, they brought in light when they did it over again,
right.
So that it makes it such a beautiful, light, wonderful place to see things, other than the way it had been so dark and oppressive, like the windows, the arches, the whole lighting.
It does, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. And we're sort of on the outside of it now. We'd come through most of the building, and as we can see, it was built on a rock. And it was interesting that they went back and found, the archaeologists, that this place was populated during the Neolithic age, and so that means that
long time ago.
Civilization went back a long, long time. You're right. Almost got lost here coming out of the place, because there's a lot of these little alleyways And we found out, okay, how do we get back
Yeah,
to the
did
main
we
square?
did we go out this door or did we come in this door? Yeah.
But look at this building ahead of us, Betty. The windows are actually painted, and looks like people are inside. We'll get another shot of that in just a little bit. So all of a sudden now we know that we're really getting into the right place right here. But see, take a look at those windows. Aren't those something?
Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah,
You
I
think
think
there were
that's neat.
people up there. I just think that's wonderful.
Somebody had a great idea.
Do you remember the man that had the rooster and where were we? That blew the horn, the trumpet, and that was in Portugal. But do you remember the?
No, I think I
Well,
remember. No,
Yeah, and the rooster came out and he shot.
that was in Poland.
Was that in Poland?
Yep, that was in Poland.
Oh my goodness! That
See,
goes
it gets
back
a little
long way.
confusing
Yeah,
after a while, huh?
It does.
Yes,
yeah.
that's right. That was Betty. You were wrong, and so am I. That wasn't Poland. That was Prague. Prague, yeah.
Okay.
The cathedral in Prague.
Okay.
That's where it
Okay,
was.
we stood out there a long time waiting for it to happen.
That's right. Boy, it does run together after a while, doesn't it? Anyway, there were some musicians out here playing, and they sounded very nice, and so we got a chance to listen to them for a little bit. But we're going to be leaving pretty soon. But before we do, we want to go over to this bridge. This is a Bazinet Bridge, and in early times, of course, there was a bridge here that was built by the Romans, and this bridge now that was constructed over the old Roman bridge had a kind of an interesting history, because the fellow that came to town was a shepherd. And it was in the little song that we heard about earlier. And he heard voices that told him to build a bridge over the Rhone at Avignon. Well, when he reached the city, he was thought to be completely mad. But he convinced the bishop of Avignon and the people by moving a huge, great big rock all alone and effortlessly. And when the people saw this miracle, the donations started flowing in, and the bridge was built in 8 years. However, the fellow died in 1184 before seeing his project. Now, they gave him an honorary title of saint, but that's only due to legend and not by beatification by the church. But however, it was said that his body was intact when they exhumed it in 1670 from the bridge chapel when they moved his body to another church. You can see here some of the writing that they did, fortunately for us, in English, so that we could take a look at this. But I thought that was rather interesting, Betty, that here this fellow, he was a shepherd. He heard voices, said, build a bridge, and then he convinced the bishop of Avignon to do it by moving this rock. Now, the rock must have been pretty good size, don't you think?
Well, I think it's kind of silly myself to hear a voice and pick up a rock, and all of a sudden you're a saint. I don't know, find something like that and get sainthood. Do you think that would find something like that for me, Marv? Of course, I have to have an angel talk to me too, don't I? That's not very likely.
I don't know. Anyway, we're on our way to Nice. Now, we have left Avignon, and we're going to listen again to our guide a little bit as we travel along this beautiful highway to Nice, France.
By passing the town, as you have noticed, and you have some of the typical scenery of the Provence, and straight ahead of us, the Sainte Victoire Mountain. It is straight ahead of us. You will have it in a few seconds on the left-hand side of the map. Brigitte Bardot, all of you have heard of Brigitte Bardot. If we were to visit her, we would be going on the other side of that hillside on the left-hand side, which is called the Moor Mountains, or hillside. Saint-Tropez is that way. Saint-Tropez was a person here who didn't want to stay Roman. He didn't want to worship the Roman gods. Therefore, he will be beheaded. His body will be sent to sea, and his head was put here. And they built a town where he was. Seaside resorts, spa, and a mountain resort are allowed to have a gambling casino. Nowadays, even they may get an authorization to get in a bigger town, but very few places have casino in France.
Well, I thought this was a great highway, Betty, and a very big and modern one. However, my desire was that we could really go and be on a highway, if there was one, right down on the coast itself, so that you could go through places like Monaco and those other. I mean, there are so many seaside places there, but from what I understand, and we'll see in the next program, even the roads getting from here down there are so small that the buses really have a difficult time doing that.
I don't think they allow it.
They might not, because the traffic gets pretty heavy.
The river here, the river Var, is a river separating France from Italy. But I come along and tell you about this. Nice, which used to be part of Italy, or shall I say part of the kingdom of Savoy. But the French, at the time of Napoleon III, which is the 1800s, went to Italy to help to kick out of Italy the Austrians. And as war compensation for the loss of the people, the French will receive the territory of Nice and also part of the Savoy, which is the region we call in France Haute-Savoie, which was part of the kingdom of Savoy. And there you have those people living there. It was supposed to be for France for a certain number of years. But the French, the people of Nice, like the people of Savoy, they had a referendum and they chose to stay part of France.
Well, on our next episode, we're going to take you into the city of Nice. And it was great. So we'll do that next time. But now take a few shots of some of the things that we saw on today's program. And Betty, we should remind people, too, that coming up pretty soon, you've got some more trips. So if people are going to be interested in trips that we do have coming up, Betty will give you the phone number in just a little bit. Anyway, we really enjoyed having you with us today as we visited Avignon and Casserole. Where was it?
Carcassonne.
Carcassonne.
Casserole. Okay. You're thinking of what you ate at the restaurant.
Guess so. Anyway, if you're interested in our trips, give Betty a call at
488-7443.
And that's about all the time that we have right now. So we'll see you next time. Bye-bye
Bye-bye.
for now.